Hello and hello and welcome back to the Making Fire podcast. This is a podcast where two longtime besties talk about their favorite TV show, Survivor. This week, we are recapping episode 10 of Survivor 47, Gagged and Gooped. That's not what the episode was called, but that's how I felt leaving the episode. But before we get into said episode, Maddie, how are you?
How am I? I'm doing well. I'm loving the Christmas spirit. I put up my Christmas tree this past weekend. It just makes such a big difference in everything. It's so fun. I feel like this is the best my tree has turned out since having my own tree. And it's just nice to have this beautiful, like, green light thing in my apartment when it gets dark at like 4 p.m.
It's a morale boost.
It is a big morale boost. So that's been very fun. Another thing that's been big in my household is we love like a sweet drink sometimes in the evening. Actually, we've been big on our drink game. I'll go over the two this week. One, I've never bought like the Gatorade powder before, but we got this like big like, I don't know, tube thick container of powdered Gatorade that you mix with water, and this one makes like 10 gallons if you use the whole thing.
Wow.
But we do like a third of a scoop, so you don't have to have it very sweet, and then you just mix it in your ice water, and it is phenomenal. I'm obsessed with it. It's just like not too sweet. You can make it as sweet as you want, which I like. But then also, it's just nice to have a little bit of that once in a while. Because, like, I don't want a whole Gatorade. But sometimes I just want a little bit of the flavor. What were you going to say?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's so nice. The other thing is we've been big into ginger beer lately. Costco has these, like, premium.
I saw those.
Yes. Ginger beer bottles. 10 out of 10 recommend. They're the best ones I've ever had. They have the perfect, like, spice. You know what I mean? Like, because it's spiced.
How is a ginger beer different than a ginger ale? Are they the same thing?
No, I think they're definitely different.
I've never had. I
don't know.
haven't really had either much to sort of compare. I don't think I've ever had a ginger beer.
I feel like ginger ale is more muted. And,
sure.
like, less spiced.
Right.
Maybe. And maybe, I don't know. It's more soda-y. I don't feel like ginger beer is as soda-y. But they have the best flavor. The most spice of any ginger beer I've ever had. And then I got a thing of maraschino cherries. And so I take a little bit of the cherry syrup and put a couple cherries in it, and then it's like a spiced Shirley Temple. And that has just been making my evenings. Also, that with last week or maybe the week before, I was talking about Teeny's mac and cheese thing. I made that. So phenomenal. Best mac and cheese I've ever made. The smoked paprika in it makes the biggest difference. Anyways, the mac and cheese with the ginger beer, Shirley Temple. Oh, I've been living my best life.
You sound so domesticated right now.
Ew. Don't ever say that again.
Like, oh my god, you're just living your married couple life. You're homebodies.
Well, yeah. I feel like now that it gets dark so early, it just feels like the day ends so early.
Which pees me oh. Ooh, that pees me oh. I got out of work yesterday at 6 p.m. and I was like, I had a sliver of hope. I was like, maybe the sun will have like just set and it'll still have a little bit of. Nope, it was pitch black. It's 6 p.m. right now. It feels like my night is over and I still have a good 4, possibly 5 hours left.
Yeah, when it hits 4:30 and I'm looking out the window at work and it's dark and I still have 30 more minutes, I'm like, how
Make
am
that
I
make
supposed to do
sense.
this?
Exactly.
No. And can we just unite as a country on one thing? Get rid of this. Over the summer, I would take my dog on a long walk. I would spend hours outside in the evening after work. Now, it's pitch black before I leave.
You haven't even had dinner yet and it's pitch black outside.
I know. It's
like,
disgusting. Ugh,
That's one thing I give the summer is nothing feels more like seasonal depression is so real. It like nothing feels better than like an 8:30 sunset, and you're just like, oh my god.
I know. And just like being warm.
Yes.
Oh, so anyways, that's how I'm doing. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I took my GRE this week.
How did it go?
It went okay.
Your score?
I do. They give you like an unofficial score. I haven't got my official things back, but I hit where I like wanted to hit. I want. Spoiler: people are listening to this and they're in the GRE bag. I did not give myself enough time to study. I sort of gave myself, and this is gonna sound crazy, about 5 weeks to sort of turn around and like do it. So I was shooting for a very average score.
Do you want to explain what the GRE is?
GRE is a exam some have to take to get into grad school. It's sort of like an SAT for grad school. You take the SAT for undergrad, you would take the GRE possibly for grad school. Problem is none of my programs I'm applying to sort of require the GRE, but I sort of had a mental breakdown about a month ago where I thought, about 5 weeks ago approximately, I said, oh my god, but this is going to make or break me. And really, it's not going to make or break me. The score I got was very average, so I'm like, whatever. But I want to talk about sort of the process of doing this at home. I did it at home. So you can go to a test center, but since I was doing it so, like the turnaround was so quick, they have like around the clock at home testing. You can sort of fit it in whenever. So I was like, that's probably going to be the most accessible option for me. So that's sort of what I chose to do. And I've been preparing for this. I took it on Wednesday. So 2 days ago as we're recording this. And I was waiting for them to sort of email me instructions because I was like, I've never taken an at-home test like this before, but it can't, like, there has to be some rules. Like, this is a very, like, specific test. Like, there has to be some rules. They sent me an email that was like, here are your instructions to get in. And here's a link to sort of pre-set up your space. And I just went ahead and clicked the link in the email, and it, the webpage wasn't real. So I was like, oh, how am I supposed to like prepare myself for this? And I can't really access this information. So I sort of had to play a fun game where I Googled around and sort of put pieces together. And what I came to the conclusion of is you're not allowed to have a piece of paper. So like if you're in a testing center, they give you a bunch of scratch paper to do your work on. You can't do that here because obviously, like, what if you have something written on it? So I had to go out and buy a whiteboard to do that. That was so fun. And then it was like, you can have you guys can't see, Maddie's seen my bedroom. You can't really see my walls other than back here, but my walls are covered in posters. Like, all my walls are covered in things. And so I was like, oh my god, am I gonna have to like take this in a room where like I have nothing on my walls? Because I was like, I'm not gonna be able to take all this stuff down. Like, that is insane. But it was like, you can leave your wall decor up. You just can't have anything like paper on your desk or any decor on your desk. So I was like, great. So the night before, I took everything off of my desk. I left like my lamp and my little Scentsy because I'm like, that means nothing. And I left the decor up on my like stand right here on my computer because I have some pictures up of like me and my friends. And so I did that. And so then the day of comes, and the lady, my proctor, first of all, I can't see her at all. That was so scary. She was just talking to me through my computer. She could like see me and my screen, but I couldn't see her. It was quite terrifying. And she was like, okay, I need you to show me your desk. And so I had to like pan. I had to borrow a webcam because the only webcam I have is built into my computer. So I had to borrow one that I could like show the whole room. It was crazy. And then I showed her my desk, and she was like, oh my god, you have so much stuff on your desk. And I was like, I took everything off. And she was like, you have to take all that stuff off. So then I had to take all of my lamp and all of it off of my desk. It had to be clean. And then she was like, show me your computer. I showed her my computer. She said, you can't have all those pictures up there. I was like, great. So I sort of had to take the pictures off of my computer. And then she was like, does your desk have drawers? And I was like, yeah, why? She was like, you have to take everything out of the drawers.
What?
Yes. So then I was like, can I just take the drawers out? And she was like, yeah, if you can take the drawers out, just take them out. And I was like, great. So then I took the drawers out, and then I have like a bookshelf built to my desk too. She was like, you can't have those books there. And I was like, Got it. So then I took the books out, and I had to take everything off of my desk. And then my favorite part of the whole thing, she was like, show me your computer one more time. And she came to the conclusion that my computer was too close to my wall. The wall that has all my pictures on it. She was like, you're too close to those. So she was like, you need to move those over. And I was like, okay. So then I went to move my computer over, but my computer is on a stand, and specifically, it's not on a stand it's supposed to be on. I don't think the stand is sort of built to hold a monitor like this. So I sort of grab it from the side, and then what do? I accidentally turn my computer off.
You said, I've had enough of you, lady.
And then I freak the fuck out because I'm like,
don't tell me what to do.
I freak out. I'm like, oh my God, this is literally terrible. It took about 10 minutes to get my computer back up. And the thing was,
not fast.
no, my computer is not fast at all. And so I'm freaking out. Like, actively, I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my God. I had to pay like $200 to take this test, BT dubs. So, and there's no refunds. And so then I remember when I read the thing, it was like, if you disconnect for more than 12 minutes, then your test is void. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like on the brink of it right now. Like, this is make or break.
I'm on the brink.
I literally have like 2 minutes. So then by the time I'm able to reload my computer, the lady was like, hello. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm back. When you had me move my computer, I accidentally turned it off. But then it went fine, and I was able to get in, and it was great. At some point in the middle of it, she didn't say any, like, she went mute the whole time, so it was basically like I was alone by myself. But at one point, the webcam like tilted a little bit, and then she was like, I can't see you, and I was like, oh, I'm here. And we fixed it. It was great. And I don't know, and I
said, I can't see you.
But it was so good. I'm feeling fine and happy, and I'm happy it's over. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm doing. Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah. I'm glad it's over for you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy it's over. You want to talk about some Survivor, maybe?
Yes.
Great. So episode 10, the season's almost over. Some recent Survivor news. They are splitting up the finale episode, which I feel like takes away from it being a finale.
Into
two 2-hour episodes.
2-hour episodes.
Okay. From a podcaster's perspective, I'm like, oh, that's going to be terrible. But also from like a viewer perspective, I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's going to be great. I can understand what they were trying to do, but I'm like, I haven't even watched the episode, but I already know that they are going to kill the momentum.
Yeah.
Of this show. Why would you split it up?
I'm hoping that there's a good reason for it, and it'll be really exciting, and we'll be on the edge of our seats. But I'm very upset about it, to be honest. Like, I want there to be a finale. I don't want it to be drawn out unnecessarily. So hopefully I'm proved wrong, and it's the best one we've ever seen.
Because even then, like, what? Now you're splitting 4 cycles into... Well, because the reunion, I don't know. I'm like, this feels like, I don't think it's going to be cramped. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but I'm just like, that's the fun part is watching the finale from like the final 5, final 6 on. It's like, oh my God, now we're down to it. Like, it's this after this after this. Like, and it's all in one go is what's super exciting. So, I don't know. It might be hit. It might be miss. It might be whatever. We'll have to wait to see. But let's talk about episode.
I'm already feeling like I'm gonna get carpal tunnel from typing all these notes for 2 hours.
I know. We might just have to split up each episode. We'll talk about it.
I feel like we'll be able to do each in one.
You think?
I mean, this is already an hour and a half. Like, the episodes.
So true.
And
me when I only take notes for 30 minutes and I just remember the rest.
You just hope it comes. The first 30 minutes are to jog your memory.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And then I'm like, oh, I remember. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, episode 10. Before we get ahead of ourselves to the finale, we got a couple more votes to get there. A couple more episodes. We start, and Soul was just voted out. Blindsided.
Yeah.
Specifically, Teeny was left gagged at the altar.
To feel dumb.
Andy immediately they're back at camp and starts telling people that was Genevieve's move. Oh no, it was and at Tribal, it like cuts back to him. He was like, I can't believe Genevieve got this to work.
Yeah.
He was quick with that.
He was.
He
that
needed
was good. I'm not gonna lie.
AI Andy. We'll talk about him in a second. We'll develop more of this AI Andy in a second. We get actually back to camp though, and yes, Teeny says you were so close to making me look stupid, like out in front of everybody, and she was like, you didn't get that satisfaction. And I'm like, okay, Teeny, I understand what you're going through. This is a really hard time for you, but I don't know if you're that important to the grand scheme of like what happened. Like,
yeah,
I
actually don't think it was really about Teeny at all.
Like, I don't think it was about you in the slightest. No. Like, I don't think Genevieve's move to get Soul out was to make you look stupid.
Or to even intentionally make you mad. Like,
yes.
You being mad was obviously going to happen.
Yes.
But it wasn't the intention at all.
No,
even,
like
a topic of conversation.
If anything, like, Genevieve knew that was the risk of doing this move, and she accepted that. Like, I don't think she intentionally was like, oh, how am I gonna make Teeny mad and feel stupid? Vote Soul out. I don't think that was point A to point B. I think it was sort of the other way around. It was like, you were the consequence of that action.
I think, but to put myself in Teeny's shoes, I would also be so mad.
In Teeny's shoes? Girl, for your feet.
Okay. I can see where Teeny's coming from, and having Genevieve turn against you and losing your closest ally all in one go, and then feeling sort of alone would be tough at this point too.
Yeah. Especially, like, you're getting so close to the end. Like, you need somebody you can trust in, and if Teeny has nobody she can trust, like, that has to, obviously, we'll see later how isolated she really feels.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. Teeny can't take it with Genevieve anymore. Genevieve has basically, like, okay, wait. Two thoughts were put into one sentence. Teeny can't handle Genevieve anymore, sort of the reaction. She's just like, I can't take it. I don't know if I can trust Genevieve. This might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Look at that for a metaphor. Thank you. And it was coherent, wasn't it? Genevieve is emotionally breaking down. She can't handle this anymore. Like, she is getting more and more, like, she has been pretty much stoned this whole game, I would say.
Stoned?
Well, who knows? Who knows what's out there in the island?
With Genevieve, some of Genevieve's behavior, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, some of her facial expressions, I'm like, what is she thinking about right now? Genevieve can't take it. Her walls are starting to break. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's slightly too early to be unraveling like this in terms of like the end game. Obviously, Genevieve has been playing the game for a long time, but you could argue she's been put in a position to play longer than some of these other people have been put in positions to actually play the game. So I can understand why she's unraveling at this point, but I'm like, girl, you need to hold out just a couple more votes.
I also didn't realize that Teeny and Genevieve were that close anyways.
That was also a thought I wrote somewhere in here, that I didn't know that Teeny was so reliant on Genevieve.
No.
It didn't feel like I guess I hadn't realized that Teeny was I mean, I guess maybe like there has been scenes of them like wanting to play together, like after the Kishan vote. I could understand that, but I'm left like, wow, I didn't know Teeny needed Genevieve that much.
Yeah.
Or I guess wanted her that much.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's a private, what are they called? The deleted scenes? There's a deleted scene where it shows their relationship, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
We should probably fact check that, and we'll get back to everybody. We'll do a separate podcast just for deleted scenes for the season. Look forward to that one. In the morning, Teeny is feeling apologetic slightly. She was like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't, like, I don't think she regrets saying the things she said, but I think she regrets how she said them.
She needed to sleep on it.
She did. It's hard out there.
Yeah.
I do too. In the heat of the moment, things are gonna thing.
Yeah.
we're also waking up. Genevieve knows she's in hot water. She knows that she got away with a crazy move, and her name is going to be out there.
But everyone knows that it was her.
Yes, like there's no hiding it. But the thing is, what I will give props to Genevieve. Like this was a 50-50 episode for her. Obviously, she makes it out not unscathed. She gets a couple votes, but she makes it out alive, which is better than not. But the benefit of the doubt, or like the props that I'll give her, is that Genevieve has been playing the game far before the soul vote. The perception that I'm getting from the other players is that people are like, "Whoa, Genevieve just popped off out of nowhere."
Yeah.
But the thing is it's not out of nowhere.
She's always been doing
she's
this.
always been doing this. This has been her thing since her first vote on her tribe.
Yeah.
So, I think it's better that people aren't putting the pieces together, and the fact that she's sort of been moving pieces long before this happened.
Right. I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but when they're talking about who to vote for tonight, she doesn't come up. I mean, like, obviously she gets her name written down and, like, she does come up, but it's not, people don't get the full picture. And you can tell that. Like, they're like, oh, well, she is a strategic player now. But I think if they had all the information of what she's been pulling this whole time, there would have been a lot more urgency to get her out.
Yes. And I think that'll be great come Final Tribal Council. We talked about this last episode or the one prior about her being a lawyer. Like, imagine her sitting down and just going through her whole game, and people aren't going to even realize the strings that she was pulling. If she gets there, that might be a wishful thinking. I'm popping off today.
Okay, I have a Survivor question.
Of course.
So this takes my head to, well, if they all know that she's a strategic player, but they don't really want to vote her out at this point or anything, has it ever happened in the past where just someone is completely avoided by everyone else on the island? And, like, they are not being talked to.
Like, they're isolated?
Yeah, like one specific person.
I feel like it has happened. I feel like it has happened in the new era where somebody was just like left by themselves.
But they're like, we're just completely not working with this person at all. Like, we're not even telling them who we're voting for tonight.
I feel like this has definitely happened. I can't exactly pull a name out of the hat at the moment, but I do feel like that this has been in Survivor Past has been a thing. Where it's easy to like just leave the person to their own like by themselves if everybody's sort of on the agreement not to do anything with them. But I can't exactly pull a name out. I feel like it more often happens maybe in like the tribe portion of the game, like the pre-merge portion. Because it's like we'll just wait until like we can vote somebody. I don't know, but I do think that it has happened, and I do feel like I have memory of it happening in the new era, but I can't remember who it happened to in the new era.
Watch all those seasons and get back to me.
I will. I'll get that all done before our next sort of filming session. That is all this is happening in the morning. It seems to be a very hectic morning. Andy is also beefing up his game a little bit here. He and Genevieve are talking, and they are wanting to push for Kyle and Gabe. And then Andy brings this conversation up with Sam, and Sam is kind of like, I'm scared of Genevieve. Like, I would rather her go before Kyle or Gabe. And we get this sort of sequence where we're realizing that Andy is kind of in everybody's pocket at the moment. Like, everybody feels like Andy is theirs, but in reality, Andy's kind of like they're all kind of Andy's.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, they don't get that Andy is actually talking to people. I think they just think like, oh, one off. Like
Andy's my little friend.
Yeah. And like Andy sort of doesn't have anything going on.
Yeah. Very interesting. I think similar to Genevieve in the sense that people are not realizing how much work Andy is putting into everything. I think when we're thinking about this has been a reoccurring thing in our conversation this season, like the individualism of this season. I think in everybody focusing so much on themselves, we're seeing a sort of lack of them focusing on what other people are doing. Like, I think everybody's sort of focused on self-preservation and positioning themselves the best in what's happening, are positioning themselves with other people that they can win against, is what I meant to say. That they're forgetting that other people are also actively playing the game and like making decisions, and it's not necessarily your story. Teeny, it's not everybody's against you right now. It just so happened that other people are playing the game for their own reasons. And you just happen to get hurt.
Yeah, even though you weren't the one to go home.
Yeah. Right. So it's just interesting seeing everybody's reaction to this. It'll be interesting to see people's reactions when at some point, Andy, I feel like, I just can't see it working. At some point, Andy is going to get caught in something. Something is going to happen where somebody realizes Andy is much better positioned than they think he is.
Didn't this happen to, what is that guy's name from another New Era season?
Sammy from 43.
Where, like, everyone realized that he's sort of friends with everyone.
Yeah.
And they were like, no.
Yeah.
You can't be with everyone at the same time.
I feel like that's how I remember him getting voted off, was sort of people were like, oh wow, he's just sort of friends with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see that with AI Andy. We'll have to see. The reward challenge is a slither in the sand challenge, sort of like a classic Survivor. You have the ball. You have to push the ball through the sand. You can't use your arms or your legs.
It's kind of humiliating.
It is kind of humiliating. Genevieve gets passed by people. Like, I'm like, this is crazy. I think the highlighted moment is Andy chewing on the ball.
The close-up
of him. He's like, ah.
Oh my god. That is so embarrassing. I saw a video on TikTok of that episode playing live, and they were at like a bar or something and Andy was there, and him watching that happen, he was just like, oh my god. Like,
because you never know what they're gonna, like, how was Andy to know in that moment that they were going to do an HD zoom up on his face chewing on that ball?
His mouth.
Like, how was he supposed to know?
And him trying to get a grip on it with his teeth in his mouth.
I don't know how I do this challenge. I would get overstimulated by the sand in my face and like in my mouth. I don't think I honestly would be like, Jeff, I have to sit out. I don't think I'd have been able to do that.
I feel like I would struggle. I would be feeling pretty claustrophobic with not being able to.
Should I try maybe doing it back here, like in this little space? Should I go and try doing the challenge? Yeah, I don't think I would have been able, like, not being able to move your hands and your arms, and yeah, I remember in season 40. Oh my god,
Riley's dying. Guys, he's just getting really choked up about this, thinking about how hard this challenge would be.
Guys, I did wake up about an hour before we recorded, so about 2 hours ago at this point. So I haven't really got my talking out for the day. We're doing an early morning. It's noon. An early morning sort of record sesh for us. Usually we're a little later in the day. At that point, I've sort of like got it out a little bit. Anyway, so it's a fun little challenge. They are playing for some food, some rice. I don't know if obviously we'll get to this in the immunity challenge. I didn't realize they had no rice at all.
I didn't realize that either, because at first I was like, giving them rice is diabolical.
Yeah, but then Sue, or who was eating? Oh, Rachel. Rachel was like, I love the rice. I haven't had any rice at all. Like, you had no rice?
I guess I didn't pick up on that before, because I also wrote that same note.
This hasn't been a talking point at all. Usually it's a little bit more ingrained in us. It's like, we're starving. We have no, like, when the tribe doesn't have rice, they let us know that they don't have rice.
Yeah.
But I guess so many different people have been eating on a daily basis. Like, Kyle at this point is eating.
He's full.
He's full. Teeny is full. Sue is full. Like, maybe not Sue, but anyway, I'm like, I guess I didn't realize how many people, like, they had no rice at all.
No food. Yeah.
And at this point, well, no, we'll have this conversation when we get to the immunity challenge. But they're playing for some rice, some fruit, some cake, cookies and cream cake. Gabe was Gabe was into the cookies and cream cake. He went to his knee. Jeff said, it's a cookies and cream. Gabe on his knees.
I think that this would have been so much more fun if they had done like a Chipotle type of bowl thing.
That is so random. You just like pulled out a random
Well,
like
because I saw the rice and it was like, oh, that's giving Chipotle.
right.
And it would have been more fun if it was like, build your own bowls.
You and you're just craving Chipotle. It would have been really fun if maybe they got like the tortilla on the side, a little bit of queso and chips, like.
No, but could you imagine if they said that, like, they didn't have to use Chipotle's branding, but if that was the reward, I would be like, yes.
What do we think? Like, okay, so let's get into some copyright infringement just for a second, not to go off on a tangent. What do you think would happen if like so what? Sam is at this reward. It's a Chipotle thing, but it's not branded as Chipotle. Like Chipotle didn't sponsor them, and so Sam was like, "Oh my gosh, these lime flavored tortilla chips. The salt is so good in this queso, and the El Pastor chicken. Oh my god."
I feel like they cut it.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Right. When I get on Survivor, I'll sort of do that. It'll be sort of a cake challenge. I'll be like, oh my god, this burrito bowl is so good, you guys.
Okay, could you imagine if you went on the show and you just tried to, like, be so random and, like, just mess with the producers so much? Where, like, you just are constantly saying the wrong thing intentionally. Like, they can get no audio clips from you ever.
Oh my god, I hope they have a Verizon flip phone so I can call my family. Oh my god. The reward's a spa. Oh my god, I really love this movie. Oh my god, I'm so excited to watch this movie with you guys.
It's like, it's a spa thing and you're like, this pizza is so good.
So good, you guys. Oh my god. Oh my god, this pizza is so delicious. Oh.
Okay, wait. I wish people would do that even if they weren't eating pizza. Just, like, be intentionally funny about it. Maybe they're just too in the moment to be thinking about being funny, but I feel like I would be trying to be the comedian all the time.
You're like, oh my god, you guys, who ordered the slimy pizza? Like, this is really the reward we won? Like, that type of energy? Or try to, like, be like, do, like, the whole bit of, like, oh, this isn't actually pizza. This is, like...
I think I'd go with the bit.
The bit, oh, okay.
I think I would be constantly doing bits out there.
And how do you think that would fare for you?
I don't know. I don't know how I would do on Survivor.
That's so valid. You're, like, so right. I'm like, I love to think that I do well, but then like, sometimes I'm sitting there and watching it and I'm like,
I think I would maybe be able to do better in this new era where they are eating pretty regularly. Because in the past, my problem has been I don't like fish and I can't eat coconuts.
Right.
And so I'm like, I feel like I would just be really hungry all the time. And I don't really want to go out there and be a Liz.
As my frontal lobe is developing, I'm realizing that I am a hangry person. Like, if I don't get
Yes.
food sort of, like, within me, I do get sort of mean.
And I feel that. And then when I eat, I'm like, I feel so much better.
It really is the frontal lobe. Because nothing is worse than when you're a child and your parents are like, you just need to eat. And you're like, I don't need to eat. I am okay. And then you eat and you're like, wait a minute. Like, nothing is worse than that. And then your frontal lobe develops and I'm like, wait, nope. I have to remind myself, like, you're just hungry. You are just hungry. You're just hungry. And that's what I think my problem would be on Survivor, because I know I would snap at somebody. If I didn't have any food, I'd be like, I need you to, you're peeing me out. I need you to sit down. Don't pee me out. Sit down.
I think I would have a really big problem with being jealous of, like, people going on food rewards.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I think they'd come back and I'd be, like, mad at them that they got to go.
I think we cannot keep talking. I was going to say that I feel like one of my problems on Survivor would be that I away from the food, is that I just feel like I'm an intimidating person sometimes.
I have heard that about you.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
And I feel like, because I don't give off the energy, I don't give off a very negative energy. Okay. I don't give off a very confrontational energy, is what I want to say. But I do feel like sometimes something happens and I have like a switch and that sort of surprises people, and I don't think people realize that I can be confrontational. Did I tell you we have to keep going. Something happened when I traveled to New York on the plane. Did I tell you about that?
No, put a pin in that.
We'll put a pin in it and get after the thing. Anyway, so confrontation, food. We see the Sam, Kyle, and Rachel win the reward. They're able to go off. We get another reoccurring segment of Sam eating fruit he hasn't tried. He sort of looked at the kiwi and said, "What is that?" And Rachel went, "That's going to go ahead and be a kiwi." And in the rank of the fruits, pineapple before kiwi, Sam is a pineapple guy.
I'm going to have to big disagree on that.
I haven't had a kiwi in a long time.
We keep getting derailed. This will be quick. Freshman year of college, we had meal points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dining dollars, if you will. And there were always kiwis available in the dining hall.
Always.
So I would eat one, sometimes multiple a day. I ended up getting a acid burn on my tongue because I was eating too many kiwis.
Yeah.
And Logan will not let me live that down. So sometimes when we go to Costco and I'm like, I need those kiwis. He's like, okay, but are you gonna pace yourself? He's like, don't burn your tongue again.
That's why I don't love them. I don't love that sensation. I mean, like, I'll eat them, but I definitely cannot indulge myself in like more than a kiwi.
You gotta try a golden kiwi.
I have never had one. I might have
They're
to
sweeter.
indulge. Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting. So, they get back to camp. Well, yeah, kind of. They get back to camp. Andy sort of leaves. Not Andy. Oh my God, Kyle. All these fucking people. Kyle gets up and leaves. They have a discussion about who they'd like to go, and it seems to be like Gabe is the name. Excuse me. Gabe is the name that they're coming to. Like, he is, and Kyle's in on it. Kyle's like, yeah, he is a threat. I can understand that. So this starts to, what?
I don't really understand how Gabe's a threat.
I don't either. I think it's just because the Tuku people, that three specifically, I think Kyle is much more of a free agent than Sue, Caroline, and Gabe. But at this point, I do think it seems like Gabe is the head of the snake of Sue and Caroline. So it's like, we need to get Gabe out. He just seems to be like a strategic threat, I think. Is like maybe like a social threat too. I don't know. That would be sort of my assumption.
I just don't get that vibe as a viewer, to be
I don't
honest.
either. I don't think that's us as viewers. I think he has a confidence to him that we as an audience understand as cockiness, but I think maybe for the viewer, like the players, they are not seeing it as cocky because they're not sort of hearing all of his thoughts about everything, would be my assumption. And so I think he has a confidence about him to the other players that is scary. Okay. I wouldn't want, like, going up against a confident person in the final three has to be a little bit scary.
Yeah.
So that would be where I was thinking. But Kyle stands up and leaves, and Sam and Rachel are talking, and Sam's like, "What do you really want to do here?" And I wrote that Rachel and Genevieve are going to have a Diva off because Rachel wants Genevieve gone bad.
Not the Diva off.
It's the Diva off of the century. Rachel wants Genevieve gone. Rachel's like, Genevieve knows the game I'm playing. And I can't have her here if she is a suspect of me. Because she could be the reason of my demise, and I can't have that. I need to get people who are onto me out. And Sam is on the bottom. Sam has really nobody at this point, and he's like, I want to work with you, Rachel. And Rachel's like, okay, well, you wanted to work with me yesterday, and then you sort of threw me under the bus as soon as possible.
Immediately. Second I gave you any sort of information.
And if you want to work with me, then you're going to need to sort of not do that anymore.
Yeah, not do that when I explicitly tell you not to do exactly what you did.
Yeah. And I think Sam is like, okay, got it. Crystal clear.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud. I got it. Thank you. We pin back over to the people not on the reward, and we have a fun little compilation. Sue is over Kyle. And when I say over, that's an understatement.
Like, wants him dead.
Wants him gone. Like, literally machete off the earth, like, never wants to see him ever again.
She said, I wish that fake blood on my hands was Kyle's.
It was crazy. I wrote that I definitely heard at some point her say, how many times do we have to hear you're poor?
Okay, I heard that too. I wrote that in a note and I said, did I just hear her say that?
It's giving very Courtney from
Courtney.
Survivor China. Check out our Survivor China coverage if you're interested.
And they're basically the same age.
Yeah.
Like, Sue's, what? She said she's
20.
Yeah.
4?
Yeah, I guess this also kind of plays into, she so publicly hates Kyle that I don't understand this, like, Tuku 4 block that everyone keeps bringing up.
Like, the Tuku as a group, like, I can't, they just, well, I guess they had to vote Tiana out, like, there was no other way to do that, but, like, they don't seem scary to me.
No, and they seem to actively hate each other.
Kyle is actively going after Gabe, actively does not like Sue and Caroline. Sue wants Kyle gone. Gabe and Caroline are the two that are like, we need to keep this, like, strategically, we need to keep this 4 together.
Yeah.
But there's clearly cracks.
Yeah. I mean, with how many clips we got of Sue talking about how she hates Kyle, like, it's not a secret.
Yeah. They get back to camp, and I wrote that Kyle and Gabe are going to have a Diva off. Because they want each other gone.
Oh, can I say something really quick?
Of course.
This is alleged, but I guess, according to online, I don't remember my source, Kyle did something to, I want to say Sue or Caroline, that was not included at this point, that we will maybe find out later.
Do I give Princess Di when I look like this?
I honestly cannot see a difference.
Thank you so much. We'll find out later is what you said.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that, like, there's a reason behind her hating him.
There's always a
so
reason.
much. Yeah. It's
That's
not
what I've
just,
always
like,
said.
He's annoying, and he talks about being poor.
And then, okay, so I did see on Twitter the girls were going up in flames about the scene, and all the OG Survivor fans were like, "You guys would not have survived early Survivor. Like,
No,
you guys, this is classic Survivor. This is as close as classic Survivor as we've gotten in 7 seasons."
I loved that comment.
I did too. I was like, "Okay, Sue, like, don't hold back."
Yeah, like, was it mean? Yes, but was it funny? Yes. Was it entertaining? Very much so.
Sure. Gabe and Kyle want to get each other out. And then at night, we go through a really touching scene. Teeny is not low-key, very high-key going through an identity crisis out here in Fiji.
Yeah.
She's sort of realizing in this moment of isolation that she doesn't have anybody to talk to. And we get this story about how she in her real life tends to hide herself within her friends and the people around her. She doesn't often have to think about her identity when she's surrounded by people that love her. But when she's by herself in her thoughts, she starts to think about all these things, specifically her sort of gender expression, and how that has gone out. And it's very touching. We get scenes of her like crying alone by herself, like she's curled up in a ball. Like you can definitely tell she's going through some stuff out there. And all this thought, her bag does accidentally catch on fire.
That would be my
that
reason.
PBO. Oh girl, that would have pushed me over the edge. I think I said, yeah, that would have sent me. That would have been my last. I would have been like, yeah, we're done. Put me on that jury. I'm going. We're done.
I'd be like, you know what? It's actually about. Oh well, I guess I don't have any rice. I was gonna say this is about time I dump all the rice in the fire.
Yeah, this would have been.
Sort of
I make my problem all of your problems, because if I'm not happy, you guys don't get to be happy.
Yeah. I'm about to be the villain.
I'm about to be the villain of this story, and y'all are about to. It's about to take shape. I'll just say that. Sit down. It was so sad. I was like, oh my god. As a person who gets confused for other genders consistently, I can understand what you're going through. Not really, but kind of.
Okay.
Well, that's my lived experience.
That is your lived experience.
Am I a cis person? Am I a cis person? Yes. But, like, do people constantly feel like I'm other things? Also, yes.
Other things.
A guy came in and said the F slur at work yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. He said, I don't want any... Well, not to me specifically, but just... So he went up to one of my...
Want to talk about?
Well, then one of my coworkers came up to me, and she is straight, and she said it, like, repeated it back to me, and I was like, oh, you didn't have to sort of say that. You did not have to... you could have said the F slur, and I would have got it. She was like, the guy came up to me and said he didn't want any clothes that made him look like an F slur. And then I was up at the register, and he came to check out, and my manager sort of swooped in and took him from me, but I didn't realize that. And then he slyly said, I don't want any clothes that make me look like a queer.
Oh my god. And you would have said, well, then go ahead and put all those back.
Okay, so I was like, okay, low-key wish I got him as a customer, because the way that he would have said that, I would have picked up the shirt, and I went, oh my god, I have this shirt. Oh my god, I have this shirt.
Oh my god, I love your outfit.
Oh my god, I love your outfit, BT Dubs. He was wearing like a worksman, like a neon, like you wear it when like doing work in the street, like he had just got off work. And I would have been like, oh my god, I would have loved that. Wear the new camo hoodie that I just bought with my cowboy boots. Like that would have ate. That would have ate, girl. That would have ate. Yes.
Your outfit's so camp.
Your outfit is literally the definition of camp. Like, where'd you get that? I need to know.
Are you auditioning for RuPaul's Drag Race in that?
Literally. So interesting.
And you would have been.
You'd have been what? Well, I'll say
There was going to be another incident at the mall.
Right. There was just an active shooter a couple weeks ago. We don't have to go too into. That's a whole different story. Comment below. If you comment below, I'll pick one lucky person who comments. You will get $3,000 and a story time sent to your DMs.
Okay.
So one lucky commenter if you made it this far into the video. We are now. Where are we? I forgot what was the point of all that.
Teeny was having
an identity crisis, right? And she's sort of like, that's sort of the end of that. We wake up and we're going to tribal. Not tribal. We're going to the tribe challenge.
That's enough of that.
That's enough of that. We go to the challenge, and it's another ball challenge. Rachel sort of walks in and goes, "You and your balls, Jeff. I swear." I think she says "you and balls, Jeff," not "you and your balls." And he was like, "Ha ha ha, so funny." Rachel kind of has good banter with Jeff.
She does.
Rachel, when she's the next host of Survivor, then what are y'all gonna do?
Rome's gonna be rolling. Never mind.
Rachel has some of the best banter with Jeff than I've seen in a long time, and it seems natural too, which I think is fun.
Yeah, I think some people are a little bit too much of a try-hard around Jeff. Like,
yes,
you want Jeff to like you so bad.
And I think the relationship is Jeff wants Rachel to like him. It's giving very Courtney Yates is what it's giving. Oh my god, 2 times in an episode. She's very like Jeff wanted Courtney's love.
Yeah.
And I feel like he wants Rachel's love.
Yeah.
Good for Rachel. We are having a classic rice negotiation here. This is what I sort of wrote, because Jeff at some point was like, "You guys have not had any. Here we go." And I said, "Wait, they haven't had any rice at their camp at all since merge? How did I not realize that?"
I didn't either, so you're not alone.
Good. I was shocked. Rice negotiations are open, and Jeff starts the bidding at 4 people need to sit out of the challenge, and understandably none of them want to sit out. This season has been blindside after blindside after blindside. There has been no sort of consecutive thing happening here, and I don't think any of them are in the position to sit out. I don't think any of them should have. And so Carolyn sort of pops up and goes, "Well, what if 2 of us give you our shot in the dark?" And I was like, "That's so stupid. Why would 2 people do that?" And then somebody else goes,
I think it was Kyle.
I think it was Kyle. Kyle said, "What if we all give you our shot in the dark? Every single one of us."
And I said, "Yes, get rid of those shot in the dark."
Okay, we have to talk about this in a second, but I was gagged. And then Jeff went, "Wait a minute." Jeff said, wait a minute. You are onto something. You are onto something.
Jeff's like, "I can't believe none of them want their shot in the darks. Why would you want your opponents to have shot in the darks?" Like, I think as a group, collectively getting all of those out is so smart.
For a group, yes, but as we see it literally in this episode. As an individual, that's your honestly, it's a 1 in 6 chance, so it's not a great backup, but you have some sense of oh, I have one other thing that I can try, like one Hail Mary.
I think I would rather not have it and know that the other people don't either.
I agree with you, but I can understand where Genevieve later in this episode comes from, being like, PMO, I regret giving it up. I can understand from an individual, but from a group game perspective, the doors this just opened, call her Gia Gunn, because the door she you don't get the joke, but call her Gia Gunn, the door she opened, it's insane.
I think, too, with it being such an individual game, I would want the shot in the dark
we'll get into it in a second. So Jeff says,
defended.
sure. Jeff says, hey, if every single person gives me the shot in the dark, yes, you can all still play. I'll give you the rest.
He's like, you really don't want these?
And they're like, no. And props to Rachel. Rachel had already given hers up, so she had already used it. She didn't lose anything. Another win for Rachel.
Yeah.
Not only did she get rice, but she was able to still use her shot in the dark. So slay that down. She everybody gives it up, and everybody's able to participate. Mm-hmm. At one point, well, here's what happens: is Sam. This was sort of a crucial moment. Not everybody was so willing to give it up. Sam was borderline. He was like, I don't want to give up my shot in the dark. Yeah. And okay, Gabe says that Sam's vote is more important. And I think Sam justifiably goes, nobody wants my vote. I've been trying to work with all of you, and nobody wants to work with me. How is my vote so important, but none of y'all want to work with me?
Yeah.
And Gabe is able... So then Sam ends up giving in. Is like, I don't want to be the person that holds back rice for the whole tribe.
But you know what would pee me-o?
Gabe taking the credit?
Yeah, and Jeff saying, oh, is it Gabe that persuaded you to do it? I'd be like, no, I just don't want to be the target after being the one person to make everyone else.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Is like, why are we giving Gabe the satisfaction? Because we clearly, as the audience, we know, because we're getting confessionals, we're hearing these thoughts. Like,
as a
Gabe,
stubborn person, that would make me so mad.
No,
I would make it abundantly clear to everyone that is not how that went down.
Yes,
that man did not change my mind.
And that's my problem, because I'm the same thinking. First of all, if I was Sam, I would have doubled down. Okay, now let's talk about this. At this point in the game, they're at the final 9. They have 6 days left. 6 days is a long time, but we know that there's obviously, in the pattern that has been Survivor, there is going to be another food reward at some point. You guys can catch fish.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I'm like, is it really that, like, is rice that important? And how much are you getting from rice? That's rice that has to feed 9 people. It's not like you're getting a bowl full of it. So, I don't know. If I was Sam, I would have doubled down and said, it's not worth it to me.
Okay, but would you want to be the target like that? Or do you think...
I don't think Sam... I don't know.
Be mad enough?
I don't know if they'd be mad enough to vote Sam out. It's not like Sam is a huge target that needs to go at the moment. Like, there's... The pro of that would be that there's other people in the game that need to go before Sam. Genevieve, Gabe, Kyle are very much the tops of the food chain. Mm-hmm. And so maybe Sam could escape with that. But the thing is that since he did give in, I would have also doubled down. And Jeff said, so Gabe is the one that persuaded you? He said, sure. It was very sarcastic, sure. Like, I think if anybody had context clues, you would understand that. I don't think that that's necessarily how it went down. He said a lot with just the way he said sure. Is what I should say.
Yeah.
But if I was Sam, I would have been stubborn too. I'd have been like, no, to be clear, it's not that Gabe persuaded me to do anything. I just don't want to be the person.
I truly don't care about anything Gabe says.
Yeah, like, fuck him. Fuck Gabe.
I actually hate Gabe.
Actually, like, I hate Gabe, and he's spoiler alert, going to go home tonight, and he doesn't even know it, so.
And he just gave up a shot.
He gave him a shot in the dark. So what? He gets a tablespoon of rice, no shot in the dark, and he's going home. So
no, you should have said, if you're Sam, I'm actually not going to give up my shot in the dark for this because I do think that Gabe is going to need his tonight.
And I'm a good friend.
I'm loyal.
One thing I do is I think about others. So everybody gives up their shot in the dark. This is going to change the whole game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have much broader implications than we realize in this moment. I hope it will, because then I'm just overthinking everything. But now, you know that nobody has a shot in the dark. And that's always, especially in the end game, is the thought. It's like, we have to split our votes. We have to do something in case somebody plays a shot in the dark.
But I'm just so glad they're out. I'm kind of an anti-advantages and, like, little things like this.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that they're taken out of the equation.
I agree. I mean, the shots in the dark don't really come. They've only affected the game once, with Caleb saving himself.
Yeah, and I like how Rachel used it.
Yes,
but overall,
most of the time there's just not much happening with them. No. It's a souvenir people take home. Yeah. So I hope that this will spice things up now there's like a layer of the game is removed and it's going sort of back to basics a little bit. We're also a thought that I'm having now is like advantages. We're not really seeing like Rachel has an idol, Sue has an idol, and so there's definitely some fluid like there. And I don't think anybody. Well, people know like Caroline knows that Sue, but nobody knows that Rachel has an idol. So some spicy stuff is going to happen in these next couple cycles, and I'm excited. This challenge happens. It's the challenge where they roll the ball. They have to hold the balls on the platter. And they roll off and they have to balance. I feel like this challenge needs live transitions. I feel like it sort of defeats the purpose if
They take breaks. Do you think that people who are servers are really good at this challenge?
I'd think so.
Servers weigh in.
Servers, type in the comments. Courtney, if you're watching, love to hear your thoughts on this. You could get your second immunity win. That's 2 more than Jean Robert. I would think so, but I don't know. There's some things going on. I don't know if you saw. There was definitely like at one point Kyle was resting the thing on his arm, and so I see some people have been talking about that on Twitter. It was definitely like I don't know if it was like a shadow or whatever, but it definitely looked like the plate was like rested on his forearm for a little bit. It was weird. I'm like, there needs to be more. This challenge, I don't like the format of this challenge. I'm like, there needs to be a more like people have different hand things, and people are holding the plate at different like points. Like there needs to be like a stick or something that they hold onto.
Yeah. So
then it's like everybody's holding the plate the exact same way.
Yeah. And
then there's no like it resting on your arm or anything. I don't know. Yeah. Get me on that challenge department.
Get us on that island.
Exactly.
Can I just say I'm really glad that Kyle won though?
In what way?
Because, okay, this is like not a bad way to Kyle, but he kind of like doesn't give much.
Right.
And I kind of like taking him out of the equation as a vote.
Like, because it just seems like it'd be an easy...
Like, why would you vote Kyle out?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of just want him not included in this because I want it to be messier.
I don't think in a new era that challenge wins are necessarily going to... Like, is it impressive 4 challenge wins and he still has an option? He still has a very clear path to a 5th win. Is it impressive? Yes.
But, like, I don't think he's going to win the game.
I don't think he's playing a very impressive game.
No.
So, I agree with you. I think it's fine having him win, because it's like, that he's the clear next person to go, you would assume. Mm-hmm. We all thought that, and then Soul went home. So, who knows? But I think, like, I agree with what you're saying. I think it makes it more interesting having him out of sort of the possibilities of people going home. But Kyle wins his 4th immunity. Mm-hmm. Gag. I had this thought while I was watching the challenge. The music was really intense during this challenge, and I was sort of wondering, and I don't know if you sort of have knowledge on how this would work, but I wrote, how do we think they do music for the show? Like, do they edit the show and then send it to like an orchestra who sort of makes music to go with the episode specifically, or do they just have like a compiled like file full of music that they sort of insert, like the music here, like you put this music in for a tense challenge moment?
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is.
Like at this point they have 47 seasons of music to work with. Like, yeah. There has to be some sort of backlog.
I think they just have music for different sort of scenarios and like tension.
Right. Well, we'll start researching that and let y'all know, because I know you are dying to know the answer to that. So we will get back to all of y'all soon. But We go back to Tribal. And Sam, Andy, and Teeny, as sort of like an alliance, they want Sam, Andy, and Teeny alliance wants to go for Gabs. Oh, wants to go for Gabe. Right. I was like,
Genius.
what? I was like, Gabs, what is that about? Sam, Andy, and Teeny want to go for Gabe, and they think the timing for Genevieve is not right. Like, this is not the moment to do it. And then on the other hand, Gabe is pushing Genevieve within the Tuku 4. Mm-hmm. And he feels like he is on top of everything right now. And this is where I think the editors were setting it up between Genevieve and Gabe. So that's what it ends up coming down to. At some point, like, all this stuff is getting pushed. It's Genevieve versus Gabe. Which one is going to go home? And Gabe is sort of in this, like, period of, like, we as an audience are seeing Gabe as delusional, where we are seeing Genevieve as, like, she's trying to survive. Like, she's in survival mode, where Gabe is in, like, delusional power mode. Mm-hmm. And I think that is where we start, like, okay, we can see this is going to be Gabe. At least me watching this, I'm like, okay, Gabe is going to be got. Because his sort of preservation at the moment is being set in delusion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where Genevieve is not optimistic. She is aware. She's like, I know why my name is out there, and I know that I'm possibly going home tonight. Where Gabe is like, hey, I have people to protect me. And Genevieve knows that she doesn't have anybody, and Gabe should know that he doesn't have anybody. In a game where 9 people are left, like, a lot can happen with 9. So it's just I think that's interesting having their dynamics, like, next to each other like that. We see that Caroline is ready to flip on Gabe.
Yeah.
I think this is really good for her specifically, doing this prior to the vote even happening, because it's a different story had Gabe gotten voted out. She had gone back to camp and goes, I would have been so fine getting Gabe out. Like, it's totally okay. I think her having the agency to do this prior to Tribal is going to set her up really nicely, because people know that she's playing the game and where she stands prior to all of this happening.
I really hope that we get a good end game from Caroline.
Me too.
I think we're kind of being hopefully set up for something.
I
She's
feel
paying more attention than I think maybe others are thinking too.
That seems to just be
block.
Like a reoccurring thing for a lot of these people, is that, like, people are paying much more attention than they're giving credit for.
Yeah.
I feel like Caroline is the most dark horse at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think, but the weird thing is that she's not positioned as a dark horse. Like, I would say Rachel, maybe Genevieve, Andy are more better positioned in, like, a dark horse, like, setting, like, on paper. But I feel like Caroline, as the way that she is being perceived, I think she is being perceived the least out of the others, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. I would love to see her pop off here in a couple votes and really get something going, because I do think she's been playing very nicely. Caroline is ready to flip on Gabe, I said, and she's ready to get onto that now. But then Rachel sort of wants Genevieve out as well. Like, she's really wanting that very badly. And so you have this core, like, Sam and Andy are kind of like, we want Gabe out. Sue and Gabe are like, we want Genevieve out. And then you have, like, Rachel who could flip, Caroline who could flip. There's a lot of, like, could happens with how, like, again, the individualism is coming in play. Like, people want what's best for their game. Mm-hmm. And some people, like, are wanting other things than the people that they're aligning themselves with. So who knows what could happen?
Yeah.
Do you know what's going to happen?
No.
Okay, well, let me get into it.
Please tell me.
Gabe, this is where I wrote that Gabe, I think Gabe feels like he's saving himself okay, this was the thought that I had in the episode. Gabe thinks he's saving himself when really it's the people around him who want him there as sort of a pawn.
Yeah.
Where Genevieve is really at risk and she actually needs to save herself. And I think that's the separation of their gameplay, is that Gabe doesn't realize that if he were to stay, it's not because of the work that he did, it's because of the work the people around him did to keep him there.
Exactly.
Genevieve needs.
Which, imagine being that aloof.
It's kind of fun. Like, I feel like, oh, that has to be so freeing.
Like, you just are so fully focused on yourself and like, but not even yourself. You're just vibing.
Yeah.
Everyone else cares more about your spot in the game than you do.
I think it's just like a delusion that happens this game at this point in the game specifically, where so many things have been going right for Gabe that he just feels like, oh, this is my story that's being told. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, they are foil characters to my main character energy. You know what I mean?
God.
And you just think everybody is playing your game.
I just can't imagine what kind of personality it takes to get that way. Because I feel like if I were on the island, I would be paranoid 24/7.
Yeah.
Like, I would never let myself just, like, chill.
Feel like people are being
comfortable.
But I think that the alternate are like the, I don't know. I was on a hit in the beginning of the episode with my metaphors.
That you don't have to take the GRE anymore, you don't need those words.
Right. I think the plus side, or like the negative to like the paranoia, like always being on top of it, like always understanding, is that you do need you do need a slight level of cocky/confidence sprinkled in there, because you sort of have to believe that things are going your way for them to happen. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a little bit of manifestation that needs to happen, because you need to be able to confidently go up to people and be like, this is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's a teeter.
I want to see you in this game.
Stop. The way that I go home first is crazy. We get to tribal, and it's sort of like, what's going to happen? Who's going to go home, Gabe or Genevieve? We get more of this talk of community branding for this season, the branding of community. And I wrote that this is the worst season to possibly try to put the branding on, because the way that this season is so anti-community is so funny.
It feels like these people are allergic to community.
Like, Jeff is asking them about their communities, and they're like, community can be hard when you're trying to like blah, blah, blah. And like, you can tell from the promotion, the first episode of the season, this thing of community was pushed so heavily, and they are just not working together. No. There is no community.
No, not at all.
I saw a tweet today from Stephen Fishback, podcaster peer / Survivor alum 2-time, that he was like, what's different about the new era is all talking about individuality. All these people working by themselves. He's like, people are over strategizing the game. Like, they're overthinking it to the point where, in most recent memory, the most successful voting block that happened was the before, because they were a community. They worked together the entire time, and they were so good at it that they steamrolled the end game of season 45. Yeah, like, that was such a tight group, and all these alliances are successful because they remain and they stick together, because they have a community, and there's just a lack of it in the new era.
I think maybe a part that plays into it too is how the game is now shorter. Mm-hmm. I think once you get to the merge, like, there really isn't that long left.
No.
You don't really need to build community with these people. I think if you had a much longer amount of time that you knew you had to like be with these people, and more downtime.
Yes.
I think that is where the community is built. Mm-hmm. And I think right now, with it being so go, there isn't really as much space to do that, unless you're on one of those tribes in the beginning of the new era, and like in the beginning while in the new era, where you don't lose at all. Mm-hmm. And you have all this downtime to just hang out.
Yeah,
I think maybe that's different, but especially this time, it was so every tribe was going to tribal council on the regular, but like, they didn't really need to just sit and hang out. They were always playing.
Yeah. It's a great point. Timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
Genevieve is convinced she's going home. We keep getting comments to her off the side. She's like, oh my God, it's going to be me. She's like, I'm going home. She said, Dallas, I am going home. I am going home. She is convinced that she is going home. And she is pissed off. They peed her O. She's like, I want my shot in the dark so bad right now. She's like, can we please go back? Can we please go back? Jeff, I know it's in your pocket. Give it to me. Show it to me, please. Show me to me, please. They want it so bad, and she ain't gonna get it. And I wrote this during their voting confessionals. I said, you know what would have ate so bad is if you showed every person writing the letter G down, but then not the rest of their stuff. Yeah. Like, that would have been so iconic. They did not do that. Put me in the editing booth, because that would have ate so bad. And shocker, Gabe is gone.
Yeah.
He gets blindsided 7-2. Gabe and Sue vote for Genevieve. Everybody else is clean on Gabe.
Yeah. Also, that divide with Caroline and Sue.
Sue. Yeah. It was weird because Caroline, at one point during the pre-tribal phase of this episode, went up to Sue and was like, "Trust me, like, we need to do this together and work together to do it." And they did not. They were not even. So Gabe is voted out. He calls Caroline a snake on his way out.
I know. Like, what?
And Gabe, right before Jeff snuffs his torch, says, "I'll be back."
Get out of here. Jeff said, "You can leave."
I'm like so interested.
Also, calling someone a snake is crazy.
I think it's so funny. But okay, and this might be a crazy way to look at this. Why do I feel like that is going to help Caroline in this game?
Yeah. Being
called a snake like that on her way out, like, obviously that puts a bad image on her, but I feel like that gives her sort of a cutthroat edge that she needs. She's been needing for her her image in the game. People start seeing her as a snake is going to do her good thing. It's going to be good for her. Yeah. Unless they get her out. Her villain arc. She's in her villain era. Her Genevieve is so back. That's mother. She survived another vote. Yeah. And then, I don't know why I wrote this. I wrote, who the hell is Barb?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't either. I don't know what happened. I just wrote, who the hell is Barb? Oh! At the end of the episode, they did like a memoriam.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, maybe I don't know why. I should have wrote... Maybe I should have wrote that instead of who the hell is Barb.
You said it. Why should I care about Barb?
Well, not necessarily. Barb was a Survivor fan, just like we are.
Yeah. Do you think when we pass away that we'll get a little...
Maybe not.
Mention?
I don't think so.
Maybe when our podcast ends someday, they'll say in memoriam, the Making Fire podcast. Which is never going to happen.
No. So good luck, everybody else. But yeah, Genevieve is so back. It was interesting. There's a lot of editing things that happened this episode. I feel both Genevieve, that sequence before Tribal where Genevieve and Gabe were basically having the same confessional back to back, saying the exact same things, that was pretty sickening. And the moral of those confessionals were, I just need to make it past this vote and the end game is mine.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe that is setting Genevieve up for a crazy end game. Yeah. We'll see.
Could you imagine if the winner of Survivor 47 was basically non-existent from the first multiple episodes?
I mean, it's happened before. Erica won Survivor 41, and she didn't exist the whole pre-merge. The whole pre-merge, she was not even...
That's true, but I feel like, did they not learn their lesson?
No. One thing Survivor has not learned in the 47, over 20 years they've been doing this, is their lessons, specifically, how to edit women who win the game. They just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. I feel like a woman is going to win this game. I feel like the only man that has a chance is Andy.
Yeah.
But I feel like our top contenders right now are Genevieve, Rachel, possibly Caroline, and Andy. Like, I do feel like that's the 4.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe Teenie. I just don't think Teenie's gonna win.
No. If this is Teenie's winner edit, they need to go back to the drawing board.
Well, they've had a couple like good character building moments, things like that.
Yeah, I feel like they sort of give those to the people before they go.
Right.
Well.
Sorry, I'm just thinking. Well, that wraps up episode 10, everybody. Thank you all for joining us.
Wait, I have one more thing to say.
Of course.
On TikTok, someone like shared a clip from Teeny's live that they were on the other day, and it was her showing all the shirts and like outfits that they wore on Survivor, and people were like, "You can tell from the tone that Teeny didn't win." I'm like, how? Describing their outfits and like, I don't know, they didn't really seem like super excited about things, and people were like, got it. We can piece those together. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm excited for the end game. I think it's gonna get spicy. I think so too. So many free agents, it feels.
I know. Well, thank you all for watching. If you liked this episode, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure to comment, what was the thing I said? I'll give you $3,000 and a story time. I can't remember what I said.
I don't remember. I think you just said to comment.
Right. Make sure to comment, everybody. Subscribe, like. You can follow us for our ever-growing content on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. And check us out again for next week when we do a coverage of episode 11.
Right. Thank
Bye.
you.
I can't wait to see how this turns out.